this is Jarrell, and I teach a couple of our spelling classes, Spelling 3 and Spelling 5. And so I read about questions a lot of times on Facebook, or when I go to conventions, parents will ask me. And here's what the scenario often is. My child can spell on Monday, but can't remember the words on Tuesday. Or my child reads really well, but my child doesn't remember and doesn't pass the test that we have each week. And so I've been trying to mull over that, and I have some questions I want us to ask ourselves. We got to have balance in our teaching, balance in our lives. And so I have a few questions that I think will help us tame that spelling tiger by putting some things back into balance. So here's my questions. The first one is, what's the end goal? In all our schooling, if we can remember what the end goal for this is, I think that will bring balance to our days. If your end goal is for your student to make a 100 every week on that spelling test, you're going to have different priorities throughout the week. You'll probably post spelling words all over the walls everywhere, so that everywhere they go, they see them. If your goal for your child is to be the champion of the National Spelling Bee, you'll probably spend about 3 or 4 hours a day on words and understanding their background and their meanings. And again, you may have spelling words all over. You may drill them at dinner. You may drill them when they get up in the morning. That's going to be a different priority, and you're going to do things differently. But I suspect most of us, our goal for our children is that they read and write well. So when we keep that focus in our mind, that's our end goal, reading and writing well. Okay, they don't have to make a perfect score every time. But I think having that end goal in mind will help us balance out our time. Now, I absolutely want spelling instruction every week, every day. 15 minutes of instruction is generally what we recommend, what our curriculum is set up for, and then 15 minutes for them to do their assignment. If you drill your child for another 30 minutes versus letting them read, are you in balance there? It might be better for them to read. They're going to interact with the words by reading. Or suppose they love science and they would want to spend 30 minutes on a spelling test. 30 minutes on a science activity. Is that better than, again, drilling? I'm not saying no spelling instruction, but drilling and spelling or science experimentation. See, if they do that science experimentation, they're going to be getting exposed to a lot of other words, and that is going to help their spelling in the long run. So again, my first question is, what's the end goal? And that will help us to get some balance in our day. The next question I have is, am I obsessing? And I'm not saying that if we want our child to do well, we're obsessing. I'm not accusing that. But I do think as parents, all the time, every so often, we need to step back and make sure what we want in our child's life isn't what we want. Are we obsessing about that? Did we spell well? So of course my child is going to spell well. Or did we not spell well and my child better spell well? Okay, we got to think about that. Another thing is, spelling is one of those things, it's easy to grade. It is one of the easiest things to grade. Essays, hard to grade. Even science projects and experiments are kind of hard to grade because there are a lot of different features and a lot of different things that your student had to know and do. Spelling, either they spelled it right or they spelled it wrong. And I think that lends itself to our obsessing about it. And we're pretty sure that writing those words 10 times each has to put it in their head, and they have to learn it that way. I think the whole package is easy for us to obsess about it. So I'm not saying anybody is, but every so often stop and ask yourself, actually for all subjects, for everything we do with our children, am I obsessing? Is this my issue? Or again, think back about what's the best for my child. What is my long-term goal? The next thing that I like to ask about is exposure better than mastery. It takes like 5 to 7 times of us engaging with facts or figures or spelling words or information in order for it to stay in our minds. At the elementary level, we want lots of exposure. Lots of exposure, well, lots of reading, lots of new words. And so this may not be the time to master if your child isn't doing so well with the spelling words. Again, I'm not talking about there are many things we have to master. got to be able to read, at least at a certain level, got to be able to spell some words or they would never be able to write anything. But are we obsessing about spelling all the words and mastering all of them at the sacrifice of exposure? I think that would help us think about, sometimes a parent will say, my child didn't do so well in, say, 4th grade spelling, so I'm going to put him back in 2nd grade spelling and make him do those words again. That may work. If that works for your family, that's grand. But also something to keep in mind is it might be better for your child to be exposed to some new words. The new words for each year might actually be better in the long run because, again, it goes back to this idea of you got to be exposed several times to several things in order for it to stick in our minds. So I kind of think at the elementary level, we need to have a lot of exposure. So that's my next question. Number 4, will there be a crutch? I'm just going to tell you, there's crutches for spelling. Now, not everything has crutches. I mean, science projects and experiments, you really can't go online and have it done for you, but you can go online and search how to spell a word. You can type in a word processing system and it'll do little red underlines and you can find how to spell that word. Again, definitely need spelling instruction because that alerts our minds to how the words are spelled, and the more we can spell, the easier reading and writing will be. But knowing that there is a crutch that our child can use might help us balance our time. I wear orthotics in my shoe because I have flat foot, just like my dad. Now, I could exercise my feet 1 hour a day and build up the muscles so that I don't have to wear the orthotic. Or I can put that orthotic in my tennis shoe and I can exercise for an hour a day, and that gets my whole heart and body and everything taken care of. So see, that's the kind of priorities I'm wanting us to think about. If there's a crutch, and there is actually for spelling and math facts, fewer crutches for other subjects. If there's a crutch, perhaps we can relax about the perfection with our spelling. And then the last question I have is, does your student have a relaxed mind? I've been thinking about, what if every week I had to write 10 times every mistake I made throughout the week? I had to go and write it down over and over and over. No, that wouldn't be fun. And so think about when our children make mistakes on their spelling. It's really not a joy to have to write the words over and over. They need a relaxed mind, not a nervous, oh no, if I get this wrong, I have to do all these extra tasks. They need a relaxed mind, which is why a lot of those activities that parents have children do, like write the spelling word in shaving cream or in sand or using magnetic letters, absolutely that helps them see those spelling words in another way. But it also is a fun thing. And so their minds are relaxing, and I think they can interact with the letters a little bit better. And I would just one little suggestion for those activities. Children need to raise their arms a lot. They are still building all these muscles, and arms over the head helps to build those muscles. So when I was in the classroom, one of the activities that we did is we got those crayons that come off with water. We got a box of those crayons for each student, and we went out. We had a metal building in the back of our school, and I let the kids, they had to lift their arms up. I had to see elbows up as high as possible. And I would say out the words, and they would write on the back of our building. And they had their spray that they would wash it off when we were all done. So that was so much fun. And they really enjoyed doing the words that way. Plus, it built up the muscles in their arms as well. So that's just one of those things that I can throw out. But having that relaxed mind is definitely going to help them retain the words a little bit better. Another way you can deal with a relaxed mind, because you're probably thinking, yeah, but if my kid misses 8 out of 20 every week, what do I do? Chat with your child about it. You got 12, right? Look at those 12. Hey, that's pretty good. I like the words that you got there. Right. Have you ever seen those words in a book? If you ever see those words in a book, show me sometime. See how I'm chatting? You can chat with your child on the positives of the words that they got right. The words they missed. Chat about those. Get the word and put it in front and compare it to your child and say, oh, I see. Did you get the EA instead of the AE mixed up? Let your child discover what he mixed up and why he missed those particular words. Have it more of a chat rather than a bam, you missed, you write it 10 times each, or you have to do this or that and another, or you're going to go back 2 grades and you're going to take this over. I don't know that that is necessarily good for our children. So we need them to be relaxed, keep that end goal in mind, make sure we're not obsessing about it ourselves. Lots of exposure, lots of reading, lots of interacting with words and a variety of things, and then exposure, and then make sure our child has a relaxed mind as we're working on those words. All right, I hope you can go out and tame that tiger.